Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? Happy Sunday. Just finished some filming for y'all, which is good. Filmed a couple workouts, but I had a good one. I had a major stomach problem yesterday, and I didn't even eat that bad, so I actually was really struggling last night. I went to bed at like 9 because I was in so much pain, but I think it was because I don't do well with lettuce. I'm not sure how you all feel or do with your lettuce, but I was in excruciating pain. So I wanted to actually just kind of touch base on that, because you got to really listen to your body's cues. I lost all of my appetite, and I tried to have forced myself to have some probiotic yogurt before I went to bed, just because I was feeling so crappy. I had Chipotle, and all I had was basically chicken, which I don't normally eat, and I think I realized why now, because it actually grosses me out. And then it had a little bit of tomatoes on it, and I had some lettuce. That was literally, and guacamole. So that was the bowl, and I wanted that. It wasn't like I was trying to not eat a burrito or whatever you want to call it. So I ended up being so sick from it. We had it early afternoon, like at 4, and I struggled the whole night. So I went to bed at 9 with a massive stomach ache, and I still have like lingering feelings of it today. But it just goes to show you that I know sometimes we can't really avoid going and getting fast food, or if we're starving and in like a hurry. But even if you try to make healthy choices, it doesn't always mean that your body is going to agree with it. I think the proof is in the pudding there. And I also want to make sure that you all are very aware of what your common toxins are in your diet. So of course, one of them is alcohol. The other one would be coffee. The other one's gluten, dairy. Soy is a common allergen. And as of recently, there's been a lot of back and forth studies on soy. Some are, really positive, and some are just medium. But my point being is that you really got to pay attention to your cues. Like, I'm actually do a tracker. I recommend that you do the same. When something absolutely doesn't agree with your stomach and your digestion, I want you to write it down and really write down how you're feeling, write down the cues that you're experiencing, because you can avoid it next time. You might forget, or it's just a different way of showing you what agrees with your system and what doesn't. I'm also currently now working with a naturopath, so I've been recording it, and I'll keep you all posted on that too, just so you can really understand kind of where your mind is at, and if we eat healthy and we're doing the fasting. And it's just that as we age, everything changes, and sometimes it changes daily. And I've talked about this before. If you're having a stressful week, or maybe your sleep is sucked, or you ate something like I did yesterday where it just doesn't agree with you, it can tend to kind of throw the rest of your week off. Like, I had barely any energy yesterday too after this whole situation. So I didn't do my evening walk because I was in that much pain. It was like a 9 out of 10. But that's just the way that my body reacted to that. And I have been eating pretty clean, if you will, but I've been eating at home. But another thing our body can't digest or absorb or, utilize basically at all is corn. So corn chips, or, Tostitos, popcorn. So just try to use those things sparingly, if you will. I did have some popcorn in the afternoon yesterday. Maybe that's what triggered it too. But anyways, so enough about me. I'm just trying to tell you that even though you are eating healthy, and maybe there's that instance where you do stop to get something quick and fast, it might not agree with you, even if you make a healthy choice. So do the tracker. I recommend it. It just is going to really help you to pinpoint some of the things that really bother your stomach. And I've got all these things flying around my head. I'm up on the roof. So anyways, good morning, Dina. Good morning, Mary Beth, Kaylin, Holly, Nancy. Good morning, ladies. So if someone has a question, you should go ahead and fire it at me. That's what I'm here for. I was just talking about common allergens and toxins that we really do want to remove from the body. And it's also a really good idea to do a cleanse a couple times a year, just because even like I said, you're eating healthy. Sometimes there's some common toxins in that actual item that might be bothering your stomach that you might not even know about. So shoot, everybody. So Dina's asking why coffee is a toxin and what are the negative effects. Okay, well, number one, coffee is clearly caffeine. I drink coffee, and I know that a lot of people do, but caffeine is a drug. period, end of story. Okay, so if you consume too much caffeine, what's going to happen is your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone, spikes through the roof. And then if you're having, say, coffee and then working out really hard and then having another coffee or a tea or something that has some caffeine in it, not necessarily green tea but other caffeine, your cortisol level is going to spike even higher, and that actually causes you to gain weight and or store weight. So it's a stress hormone, and that's why coffee is considered a toxin. And again, it's a drug. You know, like some people, if they take too much caffeine, I mean, you know what it's like. You're up on this amazing high for like 20 minutes. If you're on your, fourth cup of coffee, fifth cup of coffee, and then you'll crash. Because it's fake energy. It's not something that your body requires to live. And again, it's a drug. So that's why it's a toxin. And a lot of the times people have a really hard time digesting coffee just because it's hard on the gut. It's hard on the system. There's a lot of health benefits to coffee, but it is actually known as a common toxin because of the caffeine. So hopefully that answers your question, okay? Kaylin, yes. What would be a healthy choice for fast food? There isn't any. Yeah, no. I mean, again, yesterday is a prime example for that. I didn't want to eat that, but my husband did. Steve did, right? So I improvised and I paid for it. I paid for it dearly. So I get why, there's going to be some certain situations where fast food is a necessity, but that's why number one, being prepared is super important. Imagine yesterday if I just said no and, came home, had some eggs, something really quick, maybe a protein shake to hold me over, then we made dinner or whatever the case is, I wouldn't have been struggling as much as I did yesterday. And really there was no reason why we needed to get that. It was just something to do to get out of the house. So I would suggest if you're looking for fast food, better options, look to places that are vegan and fresh. It's really hard to, go to a fast food restaurant like McDonald's or, A&W and get something healthy. It just doesn't exist. No matter, even if it's a salad, generally speaking, it'll be packed with way too much saturated fat. They'll probably fry the chicken. Maybe they don't have the best of choice of dressing. So in a pinch, those are okay. But obviously we're not making any of that the habit. But stuff like Freshii is a good example. Chipotle normally, but yesterday was like a 0 for me. Where else can I point you? Just try to find like your local markets. They usually, I don't know about now with COVID, but they'll generally speaking have like a salad or a sandwich bar, and you can make healthy choices that way. Subway is another good option. Just be careful on the deli meat. That's actually known as a carcinogen, which is common causing to cancer. But if you can go to somewhere like Subway and get a salad and then make sure you're packing it with healthy vegetables and then like a protein source like a chicken or steak or something like that, that's what I would recommend. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Yes, so let's go back to Kaylin just asked. So Anna's asking what I can do for inflammation, like when your joints hurt. Oh girl, hydration. This is a number one cue that you're not drinking enough water. Inflammation happens too when there's problems in the digestion, so in your gut. So if you don't know this already, your gut flora is your good bacteria. And if you are taking a probiotic, good for you. But if you've been taking the same probiotic now for, let's say, 3-4 months, then actually your body is going to start to get used to that particular strain of the probiotic. So I would recommend changing your probiotic source every 3 months or so. Maybe a little bit less. Arbonne has one which is really great because it also has digestive enzymes in it. However, if you've been taking it for a long time, Anna, which I'm sure you probably have, it can have a lot to do with your gut health when we're talking inflammation, and definitely 100% hydration. I would have to also take a look at what you're eating on a general basis, because there could be some foods in your diet that are causing your inflammation even further. So if you want to post that in this group, I can kind of address it. But just be honest. If it's gluten, that's definitely one of the things that will be causing your inflammation. Sugar is another one. Alcohol. I'm not sure if any of those things have been kind of common over the last little while. But the fact that your joints hurt too, you just need to do a little bit more stretching. And again, the hydration piece. So water is super important to hydrate those joints and to hydrate your muscles and everything else around your body. Honestly, if you're not drinking between 2 to 3 liters of water a day, like, you're not getting anywhere near the amount of water that you need on on a daily basis to flush out those toxins, hydrate your body, reduce inflammation, help your digestion, improve your sleep. Water is absolutely, cheers, so important. So I'm going to take a sip. Okay. Holly's asking me, is it okay to have, no, I mean, yes, actually, sorry. I read that incorrectly. I thought I said after a workout. So Holly asked if it's okay to have coffee before a workout. Absolutely. I do this every morning. I wake up and I have black coffee, though I'm not putting dairy in it. I am not putting almond milk, sugar, nothing. I actually put cinnamon on top of my coffee grounds, and I brew my coffee that way. Cinnamon is actually excellent, for digestion in the morning. But if you're having your cup of coffee, I would immediately, like you before, after, to have a cup of water, like a large glass of water. You can throw some lemon in it, but at the very least, you need to have water with it. Caffeine is it reduces your hydration. So again, Anna, going back to your question, also Dina, so coffee is really bad for that too, and I would suggest that if you are having, say, more than 1 cup of coffee a day, or you're having other substances that have caffeine in it, you need to have a glass of water before and after that caffeine, okay? So yeah, it's absolutely okay to do before a workout. It's actually going to help you a little bit with your energy, but I just don't want you to be dependent on it. I mean, I drink coffee every day. I just don't have more than 1 cup. It gives me gut rot and I feel like crap after. Okay, so Kaylin is asking me, are the Arbonne Fizzes? Yes, because there's actually ginseng. She's asking me if the Arbonne Fizz is good for us, and the answer is 100% yes. So first of all, it's got green tea extract in it, which helps to burn a little bit more fat. So it's going to give you that mental alertness without that crash that, say, coffee or a caffeine pill, for instance, is going to give you, or that Red Bull. It's got 2 grams of sugar in it. And there's also ginseng. There's also B vitamins, which help to metabolize carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So if you're somebody that really just, you get sick of drinking water, or maybe you want juice or pop or even soda water, I would cut all that crap out and replace it with Arbonne Fizz. It's so good tasting too, and you can do a lot of mocktails with Arbonne Fizz, so I do highly recommend it, and yes, it is good for you. I don't recommend having more than like 3 to 4 fizzes a day. It's just not necessary. Hi, Sandy. The best cleanse, I mean, I'm partial, Nancy. I really like the Arbonne cleanse because all of the clients that I've done this cleanse with in the past has really seen some incredible results in a short period of time. You have to remember, though, that the reason I suggest cleanses is because it's going to bring more mental awareness to what you're eating and nutritional rebalancing. I feel a lot of the times, like for instance, even yesterday, having just a little bit of popcorn or perhaps the Chipotle or the combination of the two of them totally killed my digestion in my stomach. And it's because right now I feel, I've been having some wine, and then maybe there's been a little bit more late night eating than normal, or maybe, I'm not feeling 100% digestion wise. So that's why when you cleanse, it's super important to kind of flush everything out. And Arbonne takes care of all the scientific part of it, right? Because yes, you can sit there and, not eat for 48 hours, or you can drink, lemon water with cinnamon and apple cider vinegar, and that's all good and dandy, but you want to be eating on a cleanse. And that's why I like Arbonne, because it comes step by step. It comes with recipes. It comes with me as your coach, and then it of course tells you what to eliminate and what to and I help you swap what you're currently eating out with healthier alternatives. And in the long run, it really does teach you how to sustain this lifestyle for a long time. The only thing that I don't really follow anymore from that Arbonne cleanse would be basically always buying cage-free meat or eggs, just because sometimes I can't find them. But everything else, it's eliminating gluten, it's eliminating dairy, it's eliminating coffee, but I can work with you on that. And then a lot of the times I find too that we really struggle getting enough fiber in our diet and the probiotics. So honestly, I do recommend Arbonne. I don't just work with Arbonne for a mistake. I really do believe in that cleanse, and it's impactful. So I would recommend that, Nancy. And then again, just eating clean, and this has to be consistent like we talked about, okay? Okay, so Dina, you got it, sister. I don't know how much you're drinking, Dina, but maybe you can post it in this group. She's saying that she feels like some of her weight gain is due to caffeine or her coffee intake. And Dina, we know that you have a very stressful job. So that's the other thing, right? If you are in a constant stressed out state, your cortisol is going to be higher. It's a stress hormone. And if you're not doing enough endorphins and you're not sleeping correctly, and then you're adding coffee on top of that, your body's already trying to break down this stress hormone to get through to the good stuff, and then you're piling the coffee on top. So it's basically got like an extra layer to go through before it's going to start to relieve some of that stress. And then if you're working out as hard as we are, you know, and you're not resting enough, then your body is going to be in a stressed out state and you will never lose weight, no matter how hard you work out or no matter how well you eat. Okay, this is coming from somebody from experience. My previous job was super stressful. I know it's a little different, obviously, of industry, but I was on 100% commission. None of the team members I had were, you know, women, so it was really hard. They were all men, and I was super stressed out. I never saw Steve. I never saw my family. I was making great money, and I was 20 pounds heavier. I ate well, I worked out, and nothing ever changed. So until you can kind of find that happy medium where you can practice your gratitude or practice your meditation even might help you, Dina. That might be new to a lot of you, but it's super important if you're stressed out. Gratitude is everything. 5 things or 3 things or even 1 thing that you're grateful every day should be written down the first thing that you do in the morning. Set the tone for the day after you make your bed, of course, okay? Let's see. Dina's asking about loose skin under the arms, in front of the legs and above the knees. Well, this is, you know, you can't really do much for loose skin other than, again, hydration. But the thing is, this is a positive sign, okay? Because when you are heavier, your skin, of course, is going to stretch out. So when it starts to shrink, it's just important to vitamin D, I would recommend for sure. Obviously, hydration, and just to continue to build that lean muscle mass, okay? So some loose skin is going to be expected just because of maybe previous choices, but at the same token, you have to look at it as a positive because now your body is responding in a way that you want it to respond. We just need to kind of nourish those areas a little bit extra. Again, hydration is super important. You could also look into, I don't want to say a tightening cream because really and truly those are bullshit, excuse my language, but maybe just some extra vitamin D or more of like a hydration for the skin. That's what I'm going to suggest for you, okay? Let's see. Kaylin, in regards to meat, I usually eat chicken, ground turkey, salmon, and sometimes beef. She's asking me if pork is okay. So, listen, women also need iron, okay? So I'll start there with the beef. I don't like beef. I do not like pork, which is why I do not eat it. I'm never going to sit here and tell you what exactly to eat because your body could respond to things differently than I do. I just don't particularly like the idea of eating a cow or eating a pig, okay? Pork is super saturated fat. It's also really hard for your body to break down, and I just don't recommend it. But again, if you're craving something like that, then I would go for it. I don't recommend more than like once or twice a month for pork. I really don't. And try and get a lean, I guess, pork chop. And then the beef, kind of the same thing. I don't recommend ground beef. It's full of fat. I also don't really, you know, maybe a steak, but a lean cut of steak, not something that's like completely saturated with fat. Those are okay. Just again, I know that you probably would be barbecuing it or whatever. Just be careful with what kind of sauces you're putting on there to complement sort of the dish. And then always, always, always make sure, no matter if you're eating meat or not, you need to have 50% of your plate being vegetables, okay? And ground turkey is okay. Just try to be moderate about that too. Because at the end of the day, it's ground meat. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying don't have things, 4 or 5 times a week. Fish is awesome for women. It really is, with our omega-3s that we need to get into our diet with our hormones and the fact that we menstruate every single month. It's really super important to have those omega fatty acids high, okay? So even try to expand your horizons a little bit with that fish, like tuna or trout, something like that, Kaylin. And then don't be afraid of shrimp, okay? So Dina's asking me what foods I recommend to get rid of belly fat. Well, this is the thing, ladies, okay? And I'm not trying to be sort of in your face, but there is no magic food. There is no magic formula. There is no pill. There's no cleanse. It takes hard work, determination, and consistency. The end. Okay, so I can sit here and tell you all day long, like lemon water again, stuff that's not causing inflammation, stay away from saturated fats, stay away from refined sugars. You know all this already. I mean, society tells us this every blessed day. Just stay consistent. Stop letting the little things in your life get in the way of your wall. Because as soon as you break through that wall and realize that food is energy for life and it's meant to nourish your body and it's not meant to be a magical formula to help you lose weight or belly fat or whatever, you cannot spot train. Okay, so I want to be very clear on that. It's not like I can say, I really would wish that my shoulders would be bigger, okay, or more muscular, leaner, whatever you want to call it. I could train my shoulders all day long, but if I'm eating like crap and I'm not training the rest of my body, all the fat's just going to go to the bottom. So I can't like choose specifically my stomach. And let's be honest, I mean, core is developed and maintained in the kitchen. You know, working out is super important. Obviously, burning fat and making sure that we're doing, you know, weightlifting is super important. Yes, core exercises are important, but it's not what makes you lean. Okay, and we're going to talk a lot about this in my new challenge, so I'll keep you all posted on that. Just be patient with me. I've got this week and I'll have something out to you, but I do highly recommend it. I feel like that's kind of where most of us are at in this group right now. We've been together for quite some time. You know, whether you watch me live or you watch me afterwards, it doesn't matter, because you're still all basically kind of teetering at the same point. You kind of got the workouts down, you know, you're working on the accountability, you're working on the motivation, you show up at least 80% of the time, 75% of the time, and it's that other 25% that has everything to do with nutrition and your confusion around it. Okay, so I want to bring way more awareness to what it is that you need when it comes to nutrition. Okay, and again, there's no magic formula, but there's ways that we can really learn how to effectively nutritional rebalance for your lifestyle, for your, you know, your goals and stuff of that nature. And I feel truly like that's what's lacking right now in most of our lives, including my own. You know, it's really important to kind of spot check yourself and go back to the basics. And that's exactly what I'm looking forward to doing with you guys. Okay. Holly, my thoughts around pre-workout is if you cannot pronounce, you know, 4 of the things inside of the workout, it's a piece of shit. It's full of chemicals. It's going to, you know, cause you to bloat. That's the other thing. Certain pre-workouts, especially if you're sipping on it and you're not like downing it all one gulp, it's going to cause you to bloat and feel uncomfortable for hours after you take this thing. Okay, so be careful with that, and I would recommend something that has BCAAs in it if you are doing a pre-workout, and that's branched chain amino acids, and basically your body cannot produce these on its own, and it helps to create lean muscle mass, and it's super, super important. It's amino acid, okay? So my thoughts are medium. I do not currently take one. I have not taken one now in probably the last 60 days. I cut it out. It was actually bothering my stomach big time. I would suggest if you can do without it and just use coffee, black coffee, that's what I would suggest. Okay, 1 cup of coffee. I love the fizz too, Mary Beth. It's so good. You're welcome, Nancy. Caitlin's asking, does it come to a point where you need to switch up what you're eating? Yes, 100%. It's exactly like working out, right? So the thing is, if we're constantly continuing to give our bodies the same foods over and over and over and over again, like oatmeal, chicken, rice, vegetables, oatmeal, chicken, rice, vegetables, then your body is going to eventually develop either an intolerance to that or a slight allergy, or it just won't be effective. It's the same thing. Imagine you did the same workout every day for the rest of your life. You're not going to see results. You're not going to, you know, you're going to hit a plateau like you're talking about. It's very similar, but the basics of what you're eating should stay the same. What I mean by that is that dinner plate still needs to have a ton of green vegetables on it, and your protein still needs to be about 30 to 35 grams on your plate, which is like 4 fingers. You know, your common carbohydrate starch, just be a little bit more varietal. I mean, even if you use your spices and stuff like that, but there's plenty of options with what we've already talked about for you to just kind of keep going and then swap out certain things so your body continues to kind of uptake those nutrients you need it to take. Okay? How would we know that this is happening with stepping? Well, I hate scales. I think Kaylin knows that. Honestly, if you are somebody that gets on the scale to feel good or bad about yourself, I am going to drive to your house right now and smash it in front of you. There is no reason that any single person in this group or anybody else on this planet, for that matter, should be stepping on a scale unless you're like trying to weigh in for the Olympics or a boxing match or whatever it is. Okay, a scale is absolutely nothing but a number. It should not dictate if you feel good or bad about yourself. So let's look at it like this. You step on the scale and you love what you see. The number is like exactly what you wanted to see, exactly what you envisioned in your head. You know, you feel good, and then, you know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour later, what happens to the feel good moment? It's gone. And then all you're doing is thinking about what's next, what should I focus on now, what are my goals now, what should I see on the scale next, okay? Whereas on the flip side of things, you look on the scale and it's not at all what you wanted to see or what you thought and what you envisioned in your head. How long does that negative piece of crap feeling last for? Days, weeks, months? Months. You constantly will go back to that because it's a disappointment. You got to learn to just not step on the scale. Don't let it be a culprit of how you're feeling. Don't let it be a culprit of, you know, what you feel with your results or what you see in the mirror. Just get rid of the scale 100%. You'll know what's happening because you'll feel better. You know it's happening because of the way your clothes fit or just in general, how you're feeling energy-wise and sleeping, etc. Okay? Hey, Laura. So, Sandy, I'd have to, Sandy, if you can comment in the box of what's in Mio, because I forget if it's aspartame or not. I don't know. I can't remember. She's asking if a liquid enhancer like Mio is good to add to your water once in a while. Honestly, I would say maybe. I'd have to know what's in it. I'm not 100% sure. Mio is, again, artificial. Okay, I believe it is anyways. If it has aspartame, then there's absolutely no way I'm going to recommend it. Aspartame gives you cancer, and it's like so disgusting. I can't even, it tastes like a chemical because that's exactly what it is. But you can also be varietal with, I mean, you can use your fizz, but again, no more than 2, 3, 4 a day. And then on the same token, why don't you start adding some fruit or some like even cucumber in water is going to give you kind of that little bit of a mashup, lemon lime, stuff like that. Mio is just more of like a for if you have a sweet tooth, but that can be combated by the fizz 100%. Okay. Oh, it's sweetened with sucralose. No, stay away. Okay. I just, you know, the thing is, when you have a sweet tooth, why don't you conquer it for real? You know, if you want something like, you know, sweeter to drink, then put some fruit in it or blend up a shake or just have, you know, eat some fruit and then have some water. Have a fizz, have a flavored herbal tea. Like there's many different ways to go other than adding something like a Mio. And I have to look into that further, but I would say no for now, Sandy. She's asking, she's lost some weight and it's not going down much. Should the scale be going down as well, looking like I did? Sandy, first of all, you're beautiful and you're such an incredible person. So listen, we already talked about scales. Throw it out. You know, you committed to me on day 2 or day 3 of my training when we first met, Sandy, that you weren't going to step on that scale anymore. And I want you to stay consistent to that. Okay, I just kind of touched base on it, but like, again, how crappy did that make you feel? It has no bearing on anything. It's a stupid number. I do not own a scale. You can come to my house and take a look. The last time I stepped on a scale was due to training for this, my Formula for Weight Loss group, which is now in my lifetime of programs. So if you want that, let me know. But I can't. It's so stupid to me. It's so ridiculous. It makes you feel like crap. And the number definitely should be changing, but that doesn't mean you need to see it. Okay, and the only reason I can see that you might be plateauing is that you're not lifting heavy enough, you're not doing enough working out, or your nutrition is off, or your hydration. Okay, so there's lots of different things, and I think you sleep okay. I'm pretty sure I remember that correctly, but you know, recovery is super important, especially for weight loss. And then, like I said, just making sure you're eliminating those common toxins that can really hold back the weight loss, okay? But stay consistent. I mean, again, we haven't been together that long, and think about all the other times, and I'm not just saying it's Sandy, don't get me wrong, everybody that wants to, you know, lose weight. How many times prior to us meeting have you not done what we're doing now? How many years, how many weeks, how many months? Okay, so you really got to give your body time, stay consistent, and really celebrate those small victories because they're so important. That gratitude in the morning, same thing, okay? So be consistent with that. Kaylin, that's a really tough one to answer. She's asking if there's foods that help with hormonal imbalance. I can't answer that. I can't answer that because I have no idea where your hormones are at. I have no idea, you know, like I'm not a doctor. I want to make sure that that's very clear. I can speak to you about what's kind of going on with me, but yes, I mean, the thing is though, if your digestion is not correct to start with, and you're trying to look at hormonal imbalance first, you are skipping a step. So if your digestion is not normal, like you're not regular, you don't get bloating, you can digest almost anything that you eat, you have good sleep patterns, you're not uncomfortable, your cycle is totally normal, then you can kind of go to the hormonal imbalance. But things also to be aware of is that hormones are constantly changing. So even if you got them measured like I did, within like 3 weeks, or depending on where you are in your cycle, the whole thing could be different. So it's really important to kind of start at the beginning, and it's so hard for me to answer that because I don't know what you're lacking or what you're deficient in, and I also don't know where you are in your cycle, and it's just really hard to pinpoint stuff like that. I mean, there are certain things that will spike your hormones, which one of them, again, we talked about this, is caffeine or crappy foods like cortisol, but stuff like estrogen and progesterone, like those should be quite normal, but you've had children, so that could affect it too. It's just a really hard question to answer. Okay, so I'd recommend even going to your doctor and getting them measured, and then having either a naturopath, which I can recommend one to you, overlook your blood work just to give you an idea of anything you might be lacking, or maybe there's something else that you need to be taking just to get them balanced again, okay? Okay, so you're welcome, Sandy. Anna's asking basic supplements I recommend to take on a daily basis. 100% a probiotic, 100%. That should be taken with food. Vitamin D, especially for us women, for sure. And it should be between 3,000 to about 4,000 milligrams a day, even in the summer. Okay? And you need to take vitamin D with a fat source. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So if you are not taking it with, say, avocado or some coconut oil, something of that nature, then you are actually just taking a pill and it's going right out of you. Because there's nothing taken with that with the vitamin D to help you absorb it. Vitamin C for sure, especially now with all the things that are going on in this world health-wise and COVID-wise. Just take the vitamin C. I recommend it. It's also really hard for us to get like a full daily dosage of vitamin C. Currently right now I'm actually taking a, a digestive enzyme, but that's also, you know, on a case-by-case scenario. And I'm just trying to remember. The only other thing I would recommend is B vitamins, but again, that depends what your diet looks like, but a lot of the times we struggle getting enough B vitamins in our diet too, so I would recommend a B complex, not just B6 or B12, have it be a B complex, and I would take that daily as well. Okay, so Dina's asking me how I feel about banana and a spoon of almond butter every day. I feel good about that. It's friggin' delicious, first of all. I feel like it really helps with sweet cravings, and there's nothing wrong with bananas. Nothing at all. They're full of antioxidants. They're full of potassium. Yes, there's some sugar in it, but like, guys, don't be afraid of fruit. For the love of God, do not be afraid of fruit. Fruit is like nature's candy. It's delicious. And there's a lot of things in fruit that can benefit you. I mean, blueberries are packed with antioxidants, you know. I don't feel bad about it, Dina. I would also, you know, if you're feeling like changing it up, you can also blend frozen bananas and then throw some spinach, some pineapple, some yogurt, stuff like that in it. It's like ice cream, number one. Which is actually something you'll get when we do our challenge, our next challenge together. You get some bunch of recipes. And then also you can freeze the 2 banana slices in the middle, put some peanut butter or almond butter and freeze them. They're like little ice cream sandwiches. They're so good. So I would recommend that. Okay, yeah, and then the protein balls, again, will help you to sort of avoid the chocolate, but don't be afraid of dark chocolate. I mean, if it's milk chocolate, it's packed with sugar, but don't be afraid of dark chocolate, especially, again, around our time of month when those cravings are going insane. Please don't be afraid of dark chocolate. And I mean, I'm not saying eat the whole damn bar, but have it sparingly or put some in your protein balls, right? Okay, ladies, what other questions do you have for me? Dina's got one more. Yeah, so she's asking me about the Arbonne Protein Boost, which is actually a 0 flavor, 0 sugar protein powder, and there's 10 grams of protein per scoop. This is really good for diabetics because you can throw it in water, you can put it on eggs, you can just make sure that you're having enough protein for the day. It should be coming back in stock actually in the middle of August. Okay, it's just been a popular item, and obviously with everything going on with COVID, I know there's been some sourcing issues too with Arbonne, but great question, Dina. It's so good. I usually do a scoop of that, scoop of flavored protein from Arbonne, and then you know, a bunch of stuff like avocado, some berries, almond milk, ice. Sometimes I'll put that probiotic from Arbonne in it, just depending if I haven't had it for a while. So does anybody have any other questions before I take off for the day? Oops, I swiped to the right. Well, listen, it's been awesome. Once again, honestly, I love doing this for you guys. Let me know once I have it posted in our group about our nutrition challenge. I'm really looking forward to it. This is the one I'm picking. I mean, the mindset one is super important, and you know me, I'll always throw in some mindset questions and details and, you know, mind feeds, if you will, daily, because that's super important, and it's what separates us from so many other people, because a lot of the times it's like, eat this, do this, work out like this, and you'll see results. But if your mindset's not there, including that one that goes around the scale, it will never, ever happen for you, okay? So no matter what. It's been a pleasure as always, ladies. Sandy's asking one more question. It's not bad, Sandy. Just sometimes eggs can really hurt your tummy, so don't be afraid of it. Just kind of, I would say yes and no. Again, if you've been eating them for the last like 6 months every day, then yes, my answer would be yes, don't eat eggs every day. But if you haven't been eating them for that long, just don't be afraid of variety. Don't be afraid of, you know, your tofus or your lentils or, you know, your chicken or your ground turkey. And if you don't want to eat meat, you got to be creative, okay, with your nutritional yeast, because protein is super important. You guys all know that. So hopefully that answers your question. I love eggs too. I try not to have them every day just because sometimes they can be hard for me to digest. I got a lot going on with my stomach, but I'll keep you all posted. Thanks so much. Have a great Sunday. I will be posting, of course, a workout for you tomorrow, and then I'll see you live on Tuesday. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Love y'all. Oh, Anna, yes, I can. I'll send it over to you. Anna's asking for my naturopath recommendation. I will definitely send it over to you. She's in Oakville. She's awesome. Talk to you, and she's virtual. So we'll talk to you soon, ladies. Bye.